Welcome to 100 Yards Football this morning. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. And today, my NFL team preview is the 2021 Kansas City Chiefs. So if you like the video today, please come in and share. We'll surely appreciate it here at 100 Yards Football. The Kansas City Chiefs, last year's Super Bowl runner-up. But let me start with the Chiefs and saying this before I get into the team preview this morning. This Saturday, July 17th, I'll be 61 years old. I'm going to Nashville, Tennessee to spend time with my lovely sister, Mrs. Rhonda Turner from the 615. And I plan to drive over to Louisville, Kentucky the next day when I see her this weekend. And I'm going to go visit some sports, I want to say sports buildings that's always been dear to my heart, which is Freedom Hall, where the Louisville Cardinals played all their great college basketball games, and then the Churchill Downs. Never been there. So I'm enjoying my birthday this weekend. The reason I brought that up, because when I was in the third grade, attending Longview Elementary, and started following this great game of the National Football League, when I think about the Kansas City Chiefs organization, I always think about that 69 team that won Super Bowl IV. That team is dear to my heart. And it's a lot of reasons that it's dear to my heart. And I think about that Friday, getting ready to, hearing that last bell ring. I'm 9 years old, running out with one of my best friends at the time. He ended up going on becoming a pretty good football player. High school, we attended Southside High School. I'm going to give him some love this morning, Jerry Knowlton. And he was a big-time Kansas City fan also. And, man, we talked about that game after school, Kansas City and Minnesota. Jerry, went on to a great career at the University of Memphis. He's now a policeman in Memphis, a very good one. And he was one of the best athletes to ever come out of our high school. But reminiscing, me and him talking about that Kansas City Chiefs team, back when I was 9 years old, it was special. And what was so special about that team, it was so much pride with that team. Because you want to know why? They had about 20 players from black small colleges on that team. And I saw one of them play in Jimmy Marcellus. That was a rookie on that team that year that started at the cornerback position from Tennessee State. But all those black players from all them black schools on that team, Otis Taylor, Prairie View University, Willie Lanier, Morgan State, Brooke Buchanan, Grambling, Robert Holmes, Southern University, Nolan Smith, Tennessee State University. At that time, I'm sorry, people might not really know how proud that was, but you know how the 60 was back in that day. But to see that team with all that special talent, from the HBCUs, it was special. And to see that team win the Super Bowl and beat a heavily favored Minnesota Vikings team, 23-7, it was something that I'm always going to take to my heart and enjoy thinking about this great game of professional football. And that team was led by a guy that came from one of the top engineering schools in the country, West Lafayette, Louisiana, 60 miles from Chicago. His name is Lenny Dawson. I've always had great love for Mr. Dawson. And the biggest play from that game, before I get into the 2021 Kansas City Chiefs, was that sideline pass that Lenny Dawson completed to Otis Taylor. He broke that tackle on the sideline and half-stepped at 46 yards for a touchdown in Tulane Stadium down there in New Orleans, Louisiana. That's what I remember about this organization in the Kansas City Chiefs. Now let's start with 2021. The organization's on fire. Love the head coach, Andy Reid. Been there 8 years. He done what he said he's going to do. He brought that city a Super Bowl championship. But the thing about this game is that you got special players that come into this game, and they just have that it factor. And they just come into the game and you don't even realize how good they are. And you say, wow, why is he so special? The quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech, guns up. Man, last year, 390 completions, 4,700 yards, 38 touchdowns, 6 INTs. When he running that offense, I have never seen nobody run it better. And I'm sorry. I know the GOAT Tom Brady. Right now, he's got 7 Super Bowl championships. I give him all the respect in the world. I love Aaron Rodgers. Dan Marino, I saw him play at a high level. Johnny Unitas, Warren Moon. But this young man out of Guns Up, Texas Tech, he's special, man. And I'm going to say this. You know, way things went down in the Super Bowl last year, them losing 31-9, you know, that's got to be sticking in his gut. Because he's a guy was drafted, what, first round, 13 overall pick? We didn't see this coming. The same way we didn't see that young man out of Mississippi Valley step in the league in 85. Like we didn't see it coming in 74, 75. The young man out of Columbia, Mississippi, Jackson State, Walter Payton stepped on the surface. Patrick Mahomes is special. Now, you got to think he's got a chip on his shoulder. And you got to think that he's going to step it up another level. And what's so scary about this Kansas City Chiefs team, Patrick Mahomes is young. And this team will be good for a long time. Start with the offense. Along with Patrick Mahomes, I love the running back position. Clyde Edwards-Helaire came on the scene, 803 yards, 5 touchdowns, average 4.5 a carry. LSU. And I'm not even going to talk about the receiving corps. Mr. Travis Kelce, your brother's one of the best centers in the game, brother. I'm going to go on and put it out there. Right now, in my book, Vincent Turner, he on 100 yards of football. Brother, you the best in the game right now. Out of Cincinnati University. Ain't no question about it. You backed it up last year, 105 receptions, 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. And you was the only, to me, positive stay in the Super Bowl last year. Then you got Tyreek Hill. Again, we didn't see it coming. 87 receptions, 1,276 yards, 14.7 yards, average 15 touchdowns. Since you stepped on the field, my brother, you Terry Metcalf, his son Eric Metcalf, Dante Hall. To me, you Bob Hayes, 4x100. There's no question about it, brother. You top 3 in the game, and you are, as my man Mark Bass say, explosion. Then you got the young man from the University of Georgia, who I think this year, I didn't know how good Miko Hartman was at Georgia. Because I'm not throwing no stones at Kirby Smart this morning. But, man, you had a guy like this. Another Eric Metcalf. Another Terry Metcalf. Another Dante Hall. 4-1x100 Bob Hayes type guy. 13.7 yards average. 41 receptions. 560 yards, 4 touchdowns. That receiving core. Remember back in the day, they called the St. Louis Rams the greatest show on turf? We need to retract that and call the Kansas City Chiefs offense the greatest show on the universe on grass. Now I'm going to talk about the offensive line. There's no question in my mind, and to all the football fans out there, in this last Super Bowl, if Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, both of their starting tackles, weren't injured, this would have been a whole totally different football game. But you know what? The Chiefs, like a good, smart football organization, they did something that was very surprising to me. They allowed both of them gentlemen to walk. But you know what they did? They went out and they got Joe Tooney from New England. Super Bowl royalty. The offensive line going to be good. And then they went out and they got one of the best offensive linemen in all of pro football. His dad had played at a high level for the Cleveland Browns, so I'm not shocked. Out of Boomer Sooner, Oklahoma University. Out of Duluth, Georgia, Metro Atlanta, Orlando Brown Jr. To me, that was probably the biggest free agent signing of any team in the National Football League. Because what you got a guy that came in to the Baltimore Ravens organization, really stepped this game up and became one of the top 2 tackles to the right tackle position. Then Baltimore loses their left tackle, running Staley for the year. That's elite. And Orlando Brown goes on the left side and he locks it down. And he showed y'all, pay me the money. That guy, with that offensive line in Kansas City now, it's going to be real serious. And that means, you know what? Guns up. Patrick Mahomes is going to be on fire. And then to make matters worse, they brought back another good offensive lineman. He was pretty good in Chicago, stepped away for the game last year. And Cal Long. And you know who his father is, Howie Long. Boy, you putting that offensive line now, stable, solid, with the weapons that Kansas City has on offense, and with that quarterback, anytime soon that offense is going to go down. Now the defense. Defense was pretty well last year. Solid, 16th overall. But I think when you look at the defense, they got some special players on the side too. I'm telling y'all, it's something very, very serious in the water in Mississippi. Those people come from there with a different mindset of hungriness, want to be successful, and want to be great. James Earl Jones, Morgan Freeman, Brent Favre, Archie Manning, Jerry Rice, Walter Payton. With Chris Jones out of Mississippi State, we talk about Aaron Donald. I understand that. But Chris Jones is starting to become into kind of like that category of being elite at the D tackle position. 28 quarterback hits last year, 7.5 sacks. Every time you watch Kansas City play, there's one guy that's making noise on the D line. Another gentleman, Frank Clark. Hopefully his situation gets cleared up with his trouble that happened a couple of weeks ago. But I guarantee you, even though he didn't play well last year, and Frank Clark's resume, but Frank Clark is a football player. That D-line is going to be special long as they got Chris Jones playing along the defensive line, the linebacker position. Some of these names are not heard of, and they're not on that elite status, but Anthony Hutchinson is a football player, 7-8 tackles last year. Willie Gay Jr. out of Mississippi State didn't play a lot last year, fought injuries in his second year, but he's athletic, 4'4" guy. He's ready to step up. But listen for this name right here that's going to make Kansas City Chiefs defense very special. Remember earlier I mentioned Willie Lanier at the linebacker position, right? Well, listen for this name. He played in the best conference in all of football. That was the SEC last year. He played at a school in Missouri that didn't really have a lot of juice. But Nick Bolton, out of that little small town in Texas, he's out of Arlington, where the Cowboys play. This young guy has got a chance to be really good. 224 career tackles in the best conference. Man, he had 21 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. He is a thumper. And I'm going to tell you something. He's going to take that Chiefs defense to another level. And, oh, yes, he's going to start as a rookie. I like Nick Bolton, a Texan. And then the secondary. Long as you got that young man from LSU, that had 6 interceptions, go by the nickname of the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, your secondary is going to be pretty good. Warren Thornhill has fought injuries, but he's ready to ascend. The young man out of BYU, Daniel Sorensen, is a player. Oh, my God. Had 9 tackles for loss last year. And then think about the cornerback position. This is where I think the Chiefs are really going to be special. They brought over a young man from Minnesota that struggled, and Mike Hughes in the trade. New life, new home, Your young man could play football when he came out of Central Florida. He wasn't, no mistake, he was a first-round draft pick. But for some reason, he couldn't really get adapted to that Minnesota system. But over in Kansas City, I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a player. And another young guy, I saw him play at the University of Georgia. Unfortunately, the young man got into some situations up there in New York. But when he played at Georgia, his last year, he was the best defensive player on the field. And we all know his name, DeAndre Baker. Go Dogs. He's now with that defensive backfield over there in Kansas City. Jarvis Ward is a player out of the great state of Tennessee, Middle Tennessee State. Ladarius Sneed is a football player at the cornerback position. When you look at overall, from a defense and offensive standpoint, the Chiefs are going to be still at the top of the division in the AFC West. And it's going to be hard to really dethrone them from getting to the Super Bowl in LA. Long as Patrick Mahomes stays healthy, this is a very, very, very dangerous and good football team. And from a coaching standpoint, Andy Reid got it going on, as we say, back in my hometown of 901. And Eric B. is still, to me, the best offensive coordinator in the game. Go Buffaloes, Colorado University in the house. And on the defensive side, Steve Spagnuolo is still a very good defensive coordinator, one of the top 3 in the game. So the Kansas City Chiefs are not going nowhere because they got that gunslinger. His name is Patrick Mahomes. And he's coming back off surgery off that turf toe. And now you think about the Chiefs are really made some pieces and added to the offensive line. And with that offense, they're going to be explosion. They're going to be explosion in KC. So that being said, my final words about the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a song by a musician that came out of my hometown in 901. He didn't really stay on the music scene long. He went actually over to gospel. But when he was on the scene from 1989 to 1990, he had one of the most explosive songs out there. The name of the song, Don't Shut Me Out, by Mr. Kevin Page. All I have been thinking about something you said. It seems to make no sense to me. When the Kansas City Chiefs lost that Super Bowl last year to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I heard some people saying that maybe Patrick Mahomes is taking a little step back. Or maybe Andy Reid has ran his course in Kansas City. Or maybe the Chiefs defense is not going to improve. I'm going to tell you something. Just like my man from the 901, Kevin Page, don't shut me out. Because you said something about me that we're going to change in 2021. Kudos to the Kansas City Chiefs nation. The Chiefs are going to be dangerous. I like to send kudos to the young man that's producing my show this morning out of West Georgia. The young man is rising up the social media bar. My man, Mr. Logan Landers, thank you for producing me this morning on 100 Yards Football. And I would like to say this. To all those people that supported us over the last 3 months, I'm really thankful and blessed that y'all have given us great support. And we are ascending to a level that I never thought we would. To the team at 100 Yards Football, to Jeremiah Daniel Long, thank you. To Kevin Bull Jones, thank you. To Bobby Butler, thank you. I can be no place better than I am now. And to 2 young men that's played a very important role in my life, not from a sports standpoint, from a personal standpoint. My man from Lufkin, Texas, Mr. Mark Denham. And much love to a guy. If I didn't have a brother, if I don't have a brother, excuse me, but if I had a brother, he would be number 1 on my list. Because I wouldn't be nowhere right now doing what I'm doing, talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. My man from Brooklyn, New York, Mr. Ronald Keebler. Let me say his name with some emphasis on it. Mr. Ronald Keebler. So that being said, I'd like to say thank y'all. I won't be here next Monday because I'll be out of town. July 17th is my birthday. I'll be 61 years old. And I'm going to Nashville to spend time with my middle sister, Rhonda Turner. And I'm going to turn it up in that 615 Nashville and drive over to Louisville, Kentucky. But I'm thankful I'm honored and I'm glad to be here 61 great years of my life. And I owe that to the people that brought me in this world. And I'm so glad to be 61 years old because they brought me to the man I am. And they still living. And that's my parents in Memphis, Tennessee. I love y'all. My father, Chester Turner, and my mother, Inez. Man, I didn't know how great they were in my life till I got older. And I'm so blessed. So y'all enjoy the rest of the week here on 100 Yards of Football.